At the top of your notes for today, I want you to write 5.3 lesson, okay? And then I want you to copy down this definition right here, what my pencil's pointing to, so you can pause the video to write it down. A proportion is an equation stating that the values of two ratios are equivalent, okay? So this is what we talked about, 2/3 is equal to 4/6, because 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 2 is 6. All right, so now we're gonna take a look at the first example here, so you might wanna jot this down, 6 to 4 and 8 to 12. Okay, and you can say, are they a proportion? And so 6 over 4, we can simplify by dividing top and bottom by 2 and get 3/2. And then we can take 8/12, divide top and bottom by 4 and get 2/3. So because 3/2 and 2/3 are not equal, then the ratio of 6/4 and 8/12 are not a proportion because they did not simplify to the same rate, so they're not proportional. So if you didn't write all this down, go ahead and pause now and write it down. And you don't necessarily have to write all these words, but I would write this one with the yellow triangle for sure. So now we're going to compare 10/40 and 2.5 out of 10. So we're going to compare them by simplifying. So 10 divided by 10 is 1, 40 divided by 10 is 4. Okay. Now 2.5 times 10 gives us 25. We're getting rid of the decimal there by multiplying by 10, and 10 times 10 is 100. So we have 25 out of 100. Divide top and bottom by 25, we get 1/4. So because 10/40 simplifies to 1/4, and 2.5 out of 10 simplifies to 1/4, they are proportions. And that's pretty much what this question here says. So now what I want you to do in your math journal is to write down problem 1, 2, 3, and 4 and decide whether they're a proportion or not. Pause the video here. After you've decided, then Miss Wesley will tell you the answers. So you're going to pause. All right, so 1/2 and 5/10 both simplify to 1/2, so yes, they are proportional. 4/6 and 18/24 do not simplify to the same thing, so they are not proportional. So yes, no. 4.5 to 3 and 6 to 9. And how you would write these down when they're written side to side like that. So for example, 4 over 6 is equal to 18 over 24, like that. So we would simplify this one to 2/3, and this one, if we divide top and bottom by 6, you're going to get 3/4. Those are not equal. Then number 4, 1/2 to 1/4, so you would write that as 1/2 over 1/4 compared to 8 over 4. And you could simplify those to find out that yes, they're proportional, because you could double 1/2 to get it to 8, or 8 divided by something gives you 1/2, so 1/2 times 16 gives you 8, and 1/4 times 16 would give me 4. So again, number 1 was yes, 2 and 3 were no, number 4 was yes. So now I'm going to write down, I'm going to show you another way that you can find if something is proportional. It's called cross products. So right here, when you pause, I want you to copy down this definition, and I want you to write down both of these, and use the markers at your bin to do the colors for A, D, and B, and C, for here, here, and all this. So I'm going to pause here for you to write down everything to the pencil. So now that you've written all that down, I'm going to show you how it works. Basically, we're saying that if you multiply diagonal, okay, cross products means multiply, that when you do that, if they equal the same thing, then they're proportional. So down here, 3 times 4 is 12, 6 times 2 is 12, so 12 equals 12, that is proportional. So let's look at our first example. Write this one down, 6/9 to 12/18. So you're going to pause, write that down like this. Sorry, I just wrote my book. Now, 6 times 18 is 108. 9 times 12 is 108. So because 108 equals 108, they are proportional. So you could write that down with a yellow triangle again. They form a proportion because when you cross multiply, they equal the same thing. Now, if you want to pause the video here and write down all these words, you can. You don't have to, though. We were more interested in the work. So now let's try B together. 2/3 and 4/5. Are they proportional? So let's set them up like as fractions. Then we're going to cross multiply. 2 times 5, which is 10. 3 times 4 is 12. 10 and 12 are not equal, so the ratios do not form a proportion. So again, I'm going to pause here and have you try number 5 and number 6. After you try them in your journal, then unpause the video and we'll discuss them. So again, with this one, number 5, you're going to write it as 6 over 2 equals 12 over 1. So we're going to cross multiply. So 6 times 1 is 6. 2 times 12 is 24. 24 and 6 do not equal, so no. that is not proportional. Now let's look at the next one here. We've got 8 over 12 is equal to 2/3 over 1. So 12 times 2/3 gives us 24 over 3, which is 8. And then 8 times 1 is 8. So 8 equals 8. So yes, number 6 is proportional. So no, yes. So now I want you to take a look at example 3. So we're going to use a table to determine if they're proportional, okay? So we've got x and we've got y. So we can cross multiply here. 6 times a half gives us 3. 1 times 3 is 3. So yes, they are equivalent. We can try that anywhere in the table. 9 times 2 is 18. 12 times 3 halves would give us 12 times 3 is 36 over 2, which would be 18. So that does work. So it's the same thing. You're just cross multiplying to see if they're proportional. So I want you to try it with 7 and 8. Go ahead, cross multiply to decide if they're proportional. Pause the video. When you're done doing this in your journal, and I would write the tables down, unpause and you will go over the questions together. All right, so looking at number 7, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 1 is 4. So 2 times 2 is 4, 1 times, so 4 and 4 is equal. That makes sense. Let's double check over here. 6 times 4 is 24. 8 times 3 is 24. So yes, number 7, yes, is proportional. Now let's check down here. 4 times 4 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. They do not match. No, not proportional. Okay, so right now you're going to do 9, 10, 11, and 12 in your math journal. So take the moment here to write them down. When you're done solving these, come see Miss Wesley for a check.